Everyone, I am Super Viper T302, and this is going to be a complete tutorial for Pack and Roll Remix Any %. So the first thing, got my timer here. So the very first thing you're probably wondering is how the heck do you get this game? What platform is it on? Stuff like that, because this isn't exactly a standalone game like you would expect it to be, or like I treat it, because this is actually part of a compilation. It is part of the Namco Museum Remix and Namco Museum Megamix compilations, so just so you know, there's that. The game's like basically right over here. You basically just go up this ramp and it's right over there. And then there's a bunch of other games. There's a bunch of other remix games too, as you can see. I'm gonna kind of go around here. And there's that. Get out of the way. And then there's that. There's also this arcade with a bunch of the older style arcade games, which if you are a fan of those, I would highly recommend this compilation, even if you're not going to learn the game. So, it is, again, it's part of Namco Museum Remix and Namco Museum Megamix for the Wii. It does not matter which game you get, as far as I know. I play on Megamix. As far as I know, there are no like major version differences or anything. I'm assuming you can get the game for pretty cheap. Yeah, that's it. So there we go. Next time, since I'm in this hub world, this controls exactly like Pack and Roll Remix does. So I'm going to kind of go through the mechanics. Obviously, you use the control stick on the nunchuck. This is a Wii Remote and nunchuck game. So you're going to use the nunchuck control stick to kind of roll around. It kind of speaks for itself. Boosting, you simply you basically just hold the joystick and then shake the Wii Remote. It doesn't matter how long. It doesn't even matter if you're like barely touching the control stick, but you can boost and you'll go at maximum speed either way. And if you notice, when you do it off the slopes like just that, you'll get a lot of height. Like that. Another mechanic in this game is if you are rolling at a high, if you're rolling and you press B or Z, I don't know. If you press B or Z, Pac-Man will kind of stop in place like a brake function. You can have fun with this by kind of just mashing Z and having him pop around, kind of like that. It's pretty funny, in my opinion. This is just kind of the hub world of the game. So that's kind of basically all the standard game mechanics. Ledge grabs, although I'm gonna need to talk about these real quick because this is actually kind of important. So ledge grabs, there are a bunch of ledges in the game where you can kind of roll close up to them and grab the ledge kind of like this with Pac-Man's mouth. And you can either shake to release from the ledge, press B, or press Z, and I did it in reverse order again. It should be noted though that if you're going to do anything that involves a ledge grab hop, you're generally going to want to do it by shaking the Wii Remote, so like this. Because since you're holding B or Z, I'm gonna hold B. I'm gonna hold B and hold a direction on the joystick. Notice how Pac-Man isn't really moving. That's because since I'm holding B, the game still considers me braking. So it won't allow me to get up. So you wanna do it with the Wii Remote so that Pac-Man's able to move again more quickly, and that's kind of the basics of the mechanics. I'll get into other mechanics later on in the tutorial, so with that, let's go ahead and go into the game and get started. So this is kind of the level select. As you can see, I already have the entire game beaten. I have every level unlocked. Another thing you'll probably notice is that I have all the scores maxed out in every level, so I have all pack dots, and I even have all ghosts eaten in every level. And this is actually allowed for any % because, first of all, this game doesn't really have a true story mode. So basically, like, there's no like cutscenes in between levels or anything. This is just kind of you beat every level and then you unlock the next one and then you go onwards. There's no like story to the game or anything. There is on the DS version of the game, but there isn't on this game. So because nothing in the levels really changes after you beat them, and it's okay to already have the entire game beaten since it doesn't really affect much. Part of the reason why this is a thing is because this Namco Museum Megamix, at least I believe Remix behaves the same way. This game allows you to autosave, and obviously autosaving is kind of something you want to do for this game, but the problem is if you're going to go by general NG rules, that would mean you would have to like exit the game through here. I'm not going to do it now, but you would have to like, oh, actually, you know what, I'll do it. You would have to leave the game. This is what you would have to do after every attempt if it gets past the first level. You would have to leave the game. You would have to go into your settings, which might take me a little while to load. You would have to go to the data management, go to save data. I know I just said data and data together, don't judge me. Then you would have to delete your data for Namco Museum Megamix. Then you would have to exit your options. Then you would have to go back into the game, sit through all these screens again. And for these screens, you can just mash A to get through them. It's really not that difficult. So you have to sit through all this, and then you have a title screen coming up here. I already have auto-saving selected on here, so that's not changed. You have to do that. Then you have to re-enter the game, and there you go. Now you can start your next run. You would have to do that between every single attempt if we were going by NG rules, so you can do whatever you want, in my opinion, with the NG and NG+, but frankly, I think most people would just prefer to just be able to reset and then go back to the first level right away. Plus, like, you have the chance to practice. You could just practice any level you want and then immediately start your run. If you are planning on doing NG+, but you want to have constant access to practice, I would recommend buying an SD card and then loading data onto that. You could also maybe use that if you're going to go for grinding IL times, but for the sake of this, I'm going to be specifically talking about the NG+ rules, which are, you're allowed to have the entire game beaten. You're allowed to have every score maxed out, because since I have autosave turned on, if I update anything, so let's say if I were to have beaten a score or beaten an IL time, then the game would actually autosave after the stage is complete, which wastes around 4 seconds. And obviously in a speedrun you want to save time wherever you want, so it's generally a good idea to just have everything already done. That's also the reason why it's also a good idea to kind of grind out IL times until you think they're good enough before you do runs, because otherwise, yeah. Because if you beat an IL time, even if it's just, if you beat an IL time by like 10 seconds, then overall that's still a net time save, but if you beat it by like less than half a second, then you're going to lose time. Another thing, I'm just going to go into a random level and demonstrate this. So you'll notice my health bars kind of right over here in the lower right hand. As you notice, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bars of health. Generally, you're supposed to start with 3. And the reason why I have 7 is because there's actually a bunch of fruit items throughout the game that you can collect. And they will actually give you 1 extra bar of health. I don't have all of the locations memorized off the top of my head. If I happen to recall where all of them are, I can make like a compilation video. But another thing I plan on doing in the future is uploading my save from my SD card to speedrun.com. So everything is already done ahead of time, and all you have to do is just download the file onto an SD card, insert it into your Wii, and then load the game up and load that save, and you'll be good to go. If I happen to remember where a couple of them are, I'll point them out, maybe. Like, I'll point out a couple of the obscure ones if I can remember them, but don't count on me getting, like, every single one. Another thing I should probably talk about, and this is actually something I'm going to kind of work on here. You're going to want to start... this isn't necessarily an NG+ rule, but one major rule for this category is you're going to want to start... Actually, you know what? I'm just going to go to a different level and show this off. You want... In terms of how many lives you can start with no more than 6. You can start with less, but why would you want to start with less? Because this is actually a rather difficult game. You're probably going to die a lot. So this means that if you're going to want to go in between attempts, it's probably best to either just kill off the rest of your lives and get a game over, and then just replay this stage, because this is the easiest stage in the game. Or just get enough 1-ups until your life counter reaches 6 and then beat a stage. Because you also have to beat a stage so that the game will autosave. Because the game will also autosave if your life count changes. Such as right there. Alright. And after that, you can start runs. One final thing I want to point out is mainly applicable if you're going to be resetting in World 1 a lot at a high level, load times. So this game is, after World, typically in attempts, this game is relatively good at loading consistently, with the exception of World 1. So notice how when I select World 1 for the first time, that the pack line and Pac-Man has to kind of show up on the screen. But if I'm to exit and then re-enter the level again, that doesn't show up and the level loads like a couple tenths of a second faster. This is something that I would definitely recommend doing if you're going to start running the game, but it's obviously not required. And really, you could probably get a world record. The world record at this point is rather optimized, but you could probably still get a really, really good time without that. That will also apply if you reset basically anywhere in World 1. But as you can see, like if I switch to a different level, then that's going to change. Thanks, McKitty guy. Yeah. So without further ado, I think I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to take this one world at a time. So I'm just going to go through every stage. I'm going to try to be as thorough as possible, as quickly as possible, so that I don't spend too long on any one level. And hopefully, most of these first few levels are relatively basic. So let's just start with 1-1. So one thing I haven't pointed out yet that is actually a feature in this game is you can actually control the camera by using the left and right D-pad buttons. You can kind of rotate the camera left and right, as you can see here. And this is important because as soon as you start the level, you're going to want to hit left on the D-pad until the camera is right behind Pac-Man. Notice how it's at a bit of an angle here. You're going to hit left on the D-pad, and now, as you can see, the Pac-Man and the Pac-Dots are now basically aligned with the center of the screen. So what you're going to do to start off with 1-1 is you're going to hold directly up and boost 4 times and just get all the Pac-Dots you can. And you should be able to get all the Pac-Dots from those first few sets. And now once you get to this section, you're going to want to do a boost off of this first ramp. And this is going to activate what we like to call a slope boost, where when Pac-Man, I'm going to try to demonstrate it here. When Pac-Man kind of boosts off of an incline like this, notice how he kind of gains a little bit of height. This is a bit of a common theme for skipping stuff in this game, but for the first few levels, this doesn't really matter too much. Notice how he kind of becomes airborne a little bit. The steeper the slope, the higher your boost will generally be, and there's a power-up in the game that really breaks this technique. So what you're going to do is you're going to boost over this. You'll skip, on average, the 1, 2, 3, 4 Pac-Dots with that. So just get the rest of these. And then you're going to want to boost into this gate to kind of turn Pac-Man around. So this is a Golvis gate. I should probably explain. So in the upper left-hand corner is the in-game time. And right below that is how many Pac-Dots are currently in your inventory. So that's... kind of think of it as like your total Pac-Dots minus what you've already given to Golvis gates. In the lower left-hand corner of the screen is how many Pac-Dots that current Golvis gate requires. And this number will decrease as you give some to the Golvis gates. And these are barriers that are located throughout the stages. Most of these aren't skippable, as you can see, these are surrounded by invisible walls. And if I try to boost around this, it doesn't work. There are a few gates in the run that are skippable, but we'll get to those when we get to those. Yeah, in order to get past this and continue on to the level, you need, I think the total was 64 Pac-Dots, but I don't know, I wasn't paying too much attention, but as you can see, I have 31 left, so what you're going to want to do is after you grab all the Pac-Dots from over here, and you boost into there and grab those, you're going to turn around and head over here, and then you're going to get every Pac-Dot on this top area, which will bring you, you'll typically have around 4 or 5 left. So just go down here and get a few from right here and then just turn around. If you have extras, it's okay. Because that doesn't really matter. And you're going to have extras in this level anyway. So after that, you just feed into the Golvis gate. And now you're able to continue on the level. So make sure the camera's directly behind Pac-Man. Just keep boosting. Grab this line of 5. And then move over to the right and grab this line. And then do a couple more boosts. If you bump into a wall when you're boosting and you get thrown off your boost pattern, just stop Pac-Man in place and do another forward boost. Typically, holding a notch direction. Oh yeah, so I should probably talk about that. Boosting in this game is also used to break open boxes, such as this one right over here. As you can see, you can just kind of break boxes like that. There are a few places in the run where you're going to need to do that. And with standard Pac-Man, it will only work on those wooden boxes, so you just boost through here. And then when you go up this ramp, you do not want to boost here because you'll get this really high slope boost, and that's actually slower than just rolling down, because as you can see, it takes Pac-Man a lot longer to reach the ground, so you just go here. You do one boost here, and you don't want to do a boost there because you'll take a lot longer to land on the ground. I don't think it really matters, but like, as you can see, like, yeah, this gate, for instance, you can't even go over. And like, yeah, if you collected all the pack dots, as you can see, I have 8 extras, and the gold platform is just right there, so you just boost into the gold platform. And you can mash A when you enter a gold platform to kind of cancel the text early, so let's kind of go through that level again. So start, turn the camera left, boost 4 times, get every pack dot on your path, boost right here to get a slow boost. Boost into the gate, grab all the pack dots, grab the remaining ones on your way back, go up here, grab all the pack dots on this higher up area, grab the remaining pack dots you need here, boost back over to the gate, turn the camera again, boost over to the left here, grab these 5 pack dots, go to the other side, do 3 boosts, actually you want to do kind of 4 boosts total there. If you miss pack dots there, like, I kind of went back for them because muscle memory, but it doesn't really matter. There's enough pack dots. As you can see, again, I had 8 spares that first time. So go up here, go down here, boost once, grab all these pack dots, and then as soon as the gate opens, you can just boost straight to the goal. So that's 1-1. 1-2 is where routing gets a little bit more confusing because this is the first level that has ghosts. So as you can see, the upper right-hand corner, there are 3 things. The top one is how many pack dots you've collected throughout the entire level. So this is not how many pack dots you currently have. This is just how many you've gotten through the entire level. The number below that is how many ghosts you've eaten. And as you can see, these are the ghosts. The red one is Blinky, blue one is Inky, pink is Pinky, and orange one is Clyde. I don't know if their behavior is different in this game like it is in the original Pac-Man. It doesn't seem to be. And like in the original Pac-Man, these can be eaten with power pellets. But doing so actually wastes a few lag frames. So you generally want to avoid eating ghosts in this game, unless you're playing all ghosts or 100% where you have to eat them. And if you get hit by a ghost, it's not a huge issue. You're still able to continue moving, and you gain a little bit of invincibility frames. And as you can see, you can just kind of get hit by them a bunch of times. So how you want to start 1-2? This is a little bit weird, so just follow me. You're gonna collect all the pack dots from this circle down here. Then you're gonna go to the right. You're gonna collect all the pack dots on this kind of right outer edge. Head up here. Try to collect all the pack dots in the middle. If you get hit by a ghost there, it doesn't really matter. Again, head up that left side, grab all these pack dots here, then head up this right side, and then boost through this tunnel and get those 4 pack dots. And you should, if you play it like I did there, you'll usually have a couple extra pack dots in reserve. But if you try to play it fast, you're definitely gonna usually have less than 4 pack dots remaining. So from here, you just kind of go do a little bit of left and right movement. And then you go up that ramp. You don't want to boost here because if you boost either here, you'll gain a lot of height from that slow boost. And if you do a boost there, then it takes a long time to land on the ground again. And so when you do this, you want to kind of land right behind this power pellet. And then you're going to want to grab it, head off to the left, go along the downwards area, then go up the right side and go over there. You're going to want at least 41 pack dots here if you're going to want to do the route somewhat fast. I have 43, so I actually have a couple extras. So what you're going to do next is you're going to head across the river. You'll typically boost from here. You're going to grab all the pack dots from this ramp and then veer off to the left. And then grab all the pack dots on this outer edge and then boost forward here. And then you're going to grab every pack dot from this little ramp here, this little like upper ledge. Then grab these 3, then grab these 5, and if you had 41 coming out of that last section, you should have 80 by this point. This section is a little bit finicky though, because the camera doesn't make it that easy to tell where you are unless you like turn it to the side. It's that slow, and it also makes determining your direction a little difficult. And these ghosts are pain; they will get in your way constantly. Although I'm going to go a little bit on my way to show something here. If you get hit, these fruits that you see here do heal Pac-Man by 1. There are a couple of kinds of fruit. Like, some fruits will only heal 1 HP, but fruits like that will heal all of your HP. You're gonna have to. You can just kind of play around and see what fruits will do what. So let's just kind of go through that again, because again, this route is really difficult to follow. So you're gonna want to go through this lower left-hand sector first. Go along the bottom right edge. As you can see, I've already missed a pack dot. Go along the middle here. Go along the middle here. Go up to the left. Go up the right there, and then boost through here. As you can see here, I only have 2 spare pack dots, so grab all those. Kind of land right on the power pellet. Go along the outer bottom edge, then leave here with 40 more pack dots. You can do a little bit of a left-right around that checkpoint if you need extra pack dots. Go through here. I actually never tried turning the camera here. That's actually rather helpful. So you can do that. And grab here, and as you can see, I have 80 pack dots. So we can go to the gate now and exit the level, and that's 1-2. It's a rather complicated stage. There's a lot of tricky maneuvers you have to do here and there. That stage will definitely take a lot of practice to get down optimally. This stage, on the other hand, is really easy. This is probably this is the shortest stage in World 1. So to start, you're just going to hold the up left notch and go up those 2 ramps. You don't want to boost. Try to grab all the pack dots you can, because in this route, you only have 2 spare pack dots. So you're going to want to grab all of them. You're going to go up this ramp as normal, but then for this ramp, you're going to boost. And as you can see, this is the first, like, major slope boost, although it doesn't really accomplish anything significant. As you can see, you gain enough height to kind of skip this ramp here. Because normally this is a very tricky ramp to get across without a boost. You kind of have to go into it with a lot of speed. And even then, you kind of have to boost up there. There are situations, I'm not sure if I'll be able to replicate here, but there is a situation where sometimes Pac-Man doesn't become airborne, and if that's the case, just boost right here and you should get up like that. From there, you're going to, is the stream frozen? It shouldn't be. No, it's playing fine for me. OBS says I haven't dropped any frames, so I'm not sure. Anyways, continuing onwards. So from there, you're going to want to boost into this box, and you probably just noticed that I didn't recoil there. Typically when you boost into a box, you get like this really big recoil. You can prevent that by crouching, or I'm sorry, I keep calling it crouching, by braking. I typically use the Z button. You can use the D button. It's really personal preference. I just think the Z button is easier to use. And this will stop Pac-Man in place and prevent him from recoiling. And this is a useful strategy, not just in breaking open boxes, but just in moving around this game in general. So, like, if you're, like, about to boost and you kind of bump into a wall, you can stop Pac-Man and then just keep moving. And if you're about to fall off the ledge, like, let's just say I'm about to fall off the ledge, like, right, okay, that wasn't a really good place to show it, but you can kind of just stop Pac-Man. It's really useful, and really, when you're like right next to an edge, to just stop Pac-Man, even if you're just going to play it safe. So anyways, let's just go through this beginning again. You get all these pack dots, wait till the second slope, then boost. But yeah, that's what I was talking about, where if you boost, I think if you boost a little bit late, sometimes you just go over that, but a boost from there should get you up there. Then you boost into this. You want to grab the 3 pack dots from here, then boost into this second crate and grab the 3 pack dots from here. Go over here, grab the checkpoint. Go over these 2 ramps, head over here, grab this back off from this box, then go off here, grab these 5 pack dots, break this box, grab these, then you're going to kind of want to boost up this ramp. Sometimes, and I'm not entirely sure what causes this, but sometimes after you, when you boost into this ramp, you'll go really high. I'm not trying to see if I can get it. I'll give it a few, like, honest attempts. Yeah, sometimes you'll go really high. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, like that. Sometimes that will happen. I'm not entirely sure what causes it. It's kind of similar to, like, that. That's kind of another glitch that is somewhat known about. So, if that happens, it's not really a huge deal, although it will take you longer to fall down. Yeah, like that. So, go down here. You can grab 3 of these pack dots. These are the other 2 spare pack dots you can get if you missed pack dots earlier. If you're like doing your first runs and you miss too many, there's 4 over here, there's a power pellet over there, and there's 4 over here. There you boost into this box and then feed the pack-ups in this gate. You can either do a slope boost and try to land on the goal platform, or just go up here normally and then boost into the goal platform. So I'm going to run through that stage one more time. Again, this is a really fast stage. It shouldn't be too hard to get good at. You do a slope boost there, boost through this box. Make sure you break Pac-Man after every box so he doesn't recoil. This part can be a little tricky because the angle you want to hold, assuming you're using this camera, isn't necessarily in a notch in one of your controllers. There's a lot of tricks. There's a lot of places in this game where you just kind of have to rely on non-notch angles, and that's one of them. Go through here, get those 5 pack dots, break that box, get those pack dots, get some from over here, feed them to this gate, go up, and then finish the level. Alright, so that's 1-3 done. Now it's time for 1-4. So this is the first level to introduce a power-up, and in this case it's going to be the Night Pack power-up. So to start this level, you're going to want to boost, break that box, dot Pac-Man in place, and then boost immediately, and then grab all those pack dots. Now here is Night Pack. So, as you can see, grabbing that, this gray card with the little pink, I think that's like an arrow or something, I'm not entirely sure. Kind of gives Pac-Man this little night helmet thing. This makes Pac-Man a lot heavier, so you'll notice right away he kind of moves a bit slower. It takes a lot longer to accelerate, unless you, like, bump into a wall like this, and then he'll accelerate faster. He also doesn't get nearly as much height from, like, slope boosts and stuff. Like, he probably should get a little bit more height there. He can also sink underwater, and in this level, he's invincible to these arrows. Which, you don't want to run into these arrows, because, like, if you try to run into them... demonstrate. Okay. It kind of kills Pac-Man's momentum. So once you grab Night Pack, just continue boosting through these pack dots. I'm going to restart the stage, because I need to kind of be in my element to know what movement I need to do here. So again, just hold, you want to hold straight up, boost in this box, boost straight through it, grab Night Pack. Once you fall off that slope, do another boost, and then do another boost. If you want, you can wait in between each of these, but if you're fast enough, you should be able to make it through without having to get hit by them. Night Pack can also boost straight through those metal boxes without recoil. And you can also break these metal boxes with recoil. So you want to kind of grab every pack dot in this section. So there's one from this, like, there's a big box over here on the left of this set of big boxes that had 3 pack dots in it. Grab these 3 from here, grab those 4, and then you can grab these 3, and that's every pack dot from that section. So now you can boost into here. And then here's the gate for this level. As you can see, it requires 55 pack dots. And you're definitely not going to have enough by here. So your only option is really to go to the left here. The best way to handle this is you're going to boost, and then hopefully if you do it right, which I unfortunately did not, you're trying to land on, like, the platform up there. There you go. So, you should be able to make that every single time if you approach it the right way. So from there, you want to grab all the pack dots on this side, leave the pack dots on the other side for later, then just drop off, boost over here, and then go up this ramp. If you want to play it safe, you can just not boost, it's fine, you can make it across without a boost, but if you really want to play it risky, you can just kind of boost across there and then land on the other side and then boost through these remaining pack dots. The alternative, if you don't want to do that strat, because it is a little bit risky and it's very difficult to execute fast, you can just boost past here, continue boosting, and then go up here, and then you can kind of have to kind of go back and forth with the pack dots. And then you can kind of boost through there. If you don't miss any pack dots in the level, you should have 2 remaining. You should have 2 in reserve. So you have 2 spare pack dots for this first part of the stage. And typically when you do that slow boost, you'll leave 1 behind here. So if you have 54 pack dots coming off of this edge, you're going to be fine. As long as you just remember to grab this pack dot from there. You just kind of boost over here and open this gate. And then you boost through here. You want to break through one of these 2 inner boxes. It's kind of a little shortcut you can do. And go around here. These arrows are on cycles, like the ones earlier, and if you're fast enough, you should be able to beat an arrow cycle here and avoid getting hit, but if you don't, it's fine. So from there, you can just boost through these 2 boxes. And then what you want to do for this last section is you actually want to kind of boost around the metal box and boost through the wooden box so that you don't have to deal with recoil, and then you can just enter the roll platform. So I'm gonna do a full run through that stage again. So again, you just roll straight up from the beginning, grab Night Pack, use these 2 boosts here. You kind of want to wait past the first arrow before boosting so that you can get a better boosting pattern for these boxes. Then grab this checkpoint, go off here, get these side pack dots, go over here. Here's the boost I was talking about. Okay, yeah, so I missed a bunch of pack dots there. That will usually call for a reset. You just kind of, you have to go back for those if you miss those. As you can see, I had 1 left, and this pack dot was left behind because of the slow boost. Then you go through here, you break this box, you boost through, get past these arrows, break these boxes, and then break through these wooden boxes and finish the level. Alright, so that's 1-4. Now it's time for 1-5. This is the first level with Light Pack. So to start, you're just going to want to go up. There's only 1 gate in this level, and it's at the very end, and this level is really generous with pack dots. It requires 70, and there's 104. So to start, you want to grab the pack dots from here, grab the ones from these ramp. It doesn't really matter which side you go across here, I favor the downward side. And now here's the Light Pack card. So I'll show the level with Light Pack as it's easier and more beginner friendly. With the non-Light Pack stress, it's a bit tighter. So you want to grab Light Pack. As you can see, it makes Pac-Man a lot more floatier. It's kind of the opposite of the Night Pack. And if you notice, like when he does a slow boost like this, he gains a little bit more height than usual. And he also is a lot floatier, and so he'll last in midair for much, much longer. So as you can see, like, notice how it takes me a really long time to fall to the ground. So once you grab Light Pack, you want to fall off this ramp here. You want to kind of go over here, then you go over here. And if you have Light Pack, you can actually do a slow boost right here and gain a ton of height. And you can skip that ramp that's right over there. And as you can see, you just kind of land on this ledge up here. So from there, you just kind of boost through here. And now for this section's actually pretty easy. Just go off to the left, grab those pack dots, go up to the higher area, grab those, and then go down here. It's okay if you miss pack dots, because again, this level is very lenient on them. And then to finish it off, just grab this power pellet and any pack dots you need from here. And hopefully you'll have enough. You should have enough by that point, unless you're just really, really bad, which hopefully you're not. And then from here, the gate's right over here. And then to handle these platforms best, you just kind of want to roll across them. Don't try boosting because you gain a lot of height. And that's the level. Now, that's with Light Pack. It's actually faster to play the level without Light Pack, because it's possible to make a faster cycle, and I'm going to try to demonstrate that here. So you would do the same movement, but you would just kind of inch around that Light Pack card. And also, you wouldn't do the ramp skip here. You would just land on the ramp and then continue onwards. The reason why this saves time is because although Light Pack is a lot floatier, so he does take longer to fall to the ground, and also he moves slower on the ground. As you can see, like, yeah, I have to get a few back. This cycle is fairly lenient. You have like maybe 1 or 2 seconds to spare. As you can see, I was a little bit slow there. So yeah, if you can make it onto that platform by like the 25-second mark, you're typically good to go. A good time for this stage is under 30 seconds. But this cycle that I just waited for, actually, that's the second fastest cycle. That's the cycle you should make if you're using Light Pack. So that you would enter the stage, and that is World 1. So that's kind of all of World 1. We're going to move on to World 2 next. And we're going to start with 2-1. So I'm going to show off the skip for this level. So this is the first level with a major skip, and I would definitely recommend learning it. So the intended way to go through this level is you go through, like, this section. There's some seesaw platforms up ahead. There's a bunch of elevators later on the stage. And then you go down this kind of, like, long downward slope with a bunch of lines of pack dots and ghosts. And there's a goal escape that requires 80 pack dots. But you can actually skip it. So what you want to do to start off the stage, and I'm going to restart it just to kind of show you the optimal movement. So you want to kind of, it doesn't matter if you turn the camera or not, so you want to kind of just roll across these platforms and try to avoid falling into the water, because there isn't a way back onto the platforms. You have to go all the way back to the start of that section and then go across the platforms again. And there is a cycle you want to make here. So after you do that, just go into the water, skip this first platform, and aim for the second one. You don't have to go across this first platform. So you want to go on the second platform, head over here, grab Night Pack, and then go underwater. There's no other way to grab this Light Pack card that's down here. And then use Light Pack to kind of rise up to the surface. So now what you're going to do is you're going to turn around and kind of go along this area. and then once you reach this slope, do a boost. The timing for this, you don't want to boost when you're like right in front of the slope, because typically that means you aren't going to get the proper amount of height. But if you boost like if you're just a little far away from the slope, you should get enough height. And this is actually a section that you normally can't get to until the end of the level. Normally when you get here, what's supposed to happen is when you get here, if you don't have enough pack dots, you can just go over here, break that box, and take these boost pads. I'm just going to take them all the way back and show you. You would take them all the way back here. That is actually not mandatory at all, but alright, so I have to grab that normal pack card, so we're going to get this again. Show that again. So you grab life pack, roll around, boost like right around there, like right around when you reach that first platform is when you want to boost, and then just try to land up here. From here, just head over right next to this last boost pad. These boost pads, they just make Pac-Man go around boosting speed. There literally is no way to avoid getting boosted by them. Like, even if you do a ledge grab hop and then land on them and boost, you just get boost pushed away right away. So don't touch these when you're trying to do this. So you're going to do a ledge grab, use anywhere around this region, and then jump out of the ledge grab with the Wii remote, because like I said earlier, Pac-Man will be able to move freely in midair, whereas if you try to do it with the B or D button, you have to kind of tap it, and then you're able to move Pac-Man, otherwise you can't move him at all. And you need to use that to get over this boost pad. From there, I kind of already did it, but you would break the box that's right here, and you want to make sure you crouch. It's with the amount of room you have, it's very easy to hit this boost pad after. So you want to it's very easy to hit this boost pad, period. So you kind of want to take it slow here. So from here, you kind of want to inch. You notice this little gap in between the little wall with the weird stuff on it. I don't know what that's called. And like I said, I think it's a totem pole like thing, and the boost pad. You want to kind of see, if you see this little slit here, you want to kind of inch your way through here, and the camera does not cooperate with you at all. So you kind of have to fiddle around with it. I would highly recommend taking it slow. Like the skip that you're about to do, it saves time even if you take it a little bit slow. So then you want to grab the ledge here, and to make things easier, you can turn the camera. So now that you've grabbed the ledge, your goal is to do a ledge grab hop. You're going to want to use the Wii remote to do it. Curve around the totem pole, and then land on the goal platform. This sounds difficult, and it will take a lot of practice to get down, but you should get it down within a few attempts. So what I typically prefer to do is I try to hug the wall, but at the same time try to avoid getting stuck on the corners. And as you can see, like you have just enough height to make it onto the goal platform, so it would look like something like that. And so that actually skips the gate. As you can see, like I made it to the goal platform without opening the gate, which skips the gate entirely. It saves around 35 seconds if you do it optimally. And so it's definitely it's not a hard skip at all, so I would definitely recommend learning it, because it is a really easy time saver. So again, you go over here, grab light pack, go underwater, grab light pack, turn around, do a slip boost from right around here, ledge grab around this first slip boost, pad, break through the box, then inch into this little path here, and then turn the camera and jump into the control platform. And as you can see, like that was kind of slow, because I was both explaining stuff and trying to set it up and taking it slow, but I still beat the level in 22 seconds in game time. So yeah, definitely learn that skip. Anyways, now we're going to move on to 2-2. So the start of this level is fairly basic. Just hold left. You want to this is one of those sections where you kind of want to hold an angle that's not a notch. I typically hold between the left and up left notches. So you just kind of want to grab all these pack dots. You want to kind of boost right around there, so that just to get one extra boost in, and then take all these boost pads, and then try to get as many pack dots from here as you can. All of them is preferred. And for this section, if you're going to want to do it optimally, you want to just hold forward and then try to grab as many pack dots from there as you can. If that does not sound comfortable to you, if you want more pack dots, you can hold back after every single one and try to grab all the pack dots from them. I would not recommend this because you have enough pack dots typically. Now here comes the section. So there's these bounce pads throughout the game that make Pac-Man kind of bounce up in midair, as you can see. With Light Pack, you'll bounce a little bit higher, and you last in midair. Probably with Night Pack, you bounce in the air for not as high. These platforms you can ledge grab on. You have a couple of different ways of approaching this section. The easiest way would be you go over here, and then the intended path is there's this kind of path in front of me with a bunch of bounce pads that you use to get across, but these bounce pads actually get Pac-Man just enough height to reach the platform above me, and as you can see, there's these boost pads that will take. Those are normally meant to bring you back to the start of the section if you fall down, but you can actually use those to just kind of get through that section faster. So the one way you can do this is you can either, the easiest way is you go over here, you ledge grab hop, and then you hop onto here. Another rather somewhat complicated way. Plus with this method you can get some pack dots from this platform, and then you can head over here, grab the 2 pack dots that are over here, ledge grab hop, and then jump up. Pretty simple. You can also just use this. You can also just use the bounce pads themselves to get up there, although it's a little bit more finicky. This one, you can use this bounce pad that's right over here, but Pac-Man needs to have no speed whatsoever going into it. Like, I'm going to go into it at full speed here. Notice how he didn't get a whole lot of height there. You kind of want to slow Pac-Man down a little bit before getting up there. If it helps, you can bounce once and then just kind of get up here. I would also recommend boosting so that you get up there a little bit quicker. And then from there you can just boost into these boost pads and get up here. Normally you won't have this many pack dots. You'll have somewhere around 50 if you do that. So this section is really, really straightforward. You just take these boost pads and bounce pads and just grab all these pack dots. Right here you can do a little bit of a skip by using this bounce pad to get up here. This is highly recommended. I'm taking those bounce pads with this. So then you feed the pack dots to the Skull of Escape. There's no way to skip the Skull of Escape, so you just want to open it. Then you grab Light Pack and just go across these platforms. Relatively pretty easy. When you're going over here, there's actually technically 2 ways you could go about doing this, but I'm pretty sure the fastest way is try and get up. Light Pack is very confusing to control. You can take this first bounce pad, take that, then you can fly all the way over here, take this, and then take that. Or after the second one, you can take this third bounce pad and then take the fourth, and then just take these last 2. While I'm here, I am going to show one of the more kind of obscure fruit bonuses you can collect if you don't want to use New Game Plus or if I haven't uploaded my save yet. So you can skip most of the section if you have Light Pack, but it's kind of hard to keep Light Pack for the section, so you just kind of take these boost pads, get over here, and then you can get a Light Pack card, bounce across these platforms, and then fly over here. And right here, there's a fruit that will give you extra health. I obviously have already collected it, so it's gone. Anyways, so I'm gonna go through the level one more time. So you just kind of go through here, do that one boost, do that curve around here, just hold straight right here, and just keep turning the camera so that Pac-Man is always facing straight. Slow down right before this first. Either have 0 speed when going into this first bounce pad, or just slow down. Boost up here, take these boost pads. Sometimes you'll gain a lot of speed from those, and I'm not entirely sure why. Kind of keep track of your pack dot count here, because although you have a few spare pack dots, sometimes that first section can go really badly, and you'll have barely any pack dots in reserve. So just always be cautious there, and then take all these bounce pads, and then just try to fly into the goal platform. One bit of advice I haven't pointed out yet is if you land in the center of the goal platform, notice Pac-Man doesn't take time to roll to the center, and he'll start the fanfare, and he'll start bouncing up and down and allowing you to exit it more quickly. So like this. That was really bad, but you get my point. That's mostly applicable if you are going to land on the goal from above, and if you're not just going to like roll into it or boost into it or whatnot. All right, time for 2-3. This level is a huge tease, just for the record, because notice how the gold platform's right behind you. In fact, I actually haven't tested this, but... Oh, this gate isn't accessible from here. I thought the gate would be accessible, but... Notice how the gold platform is right behind where you start. You can't actually slow boost. I've tried, but like this is the closest you can get. So you have to play through the level normally. So just take these slopes one at a time. Just kind of... these ghosts will get in your way more than likely. Just kind of take it one at a time. Just try to curve around over here. Just do that. Then boost across this slope and then get all in this golf escape. You have 6 reserve pack dots there, and as you can see, I got all of them, so it doesn't matter. And you kind of want to have reserve pack dots here because this next section is really, really difficult to do fast. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to boost through here, take these boost pads, and just kind of don't boost here, and just try to... The slopes here are really difficult to navigate, especially for a new player. Pac-Man's controls are really sensitive, he's really slippery. And you need to collect most of the pack dots from that section. As you can see, I actually still have 6 in reserve. I collected exactly 55 from that section. There are, optimally, I think you can have around 10 remaining. You'll have like 10 in reserve, which is really good for the next section, because you'll be able to do some optional routing. But the slopes in that section are like really, really difficult to navigate, especially when you're going at such a high speed and trying to collect all the pack dots. So I'll try and demonstrate that again. So you just kind of try to follow the curves, try to follow these like brown paths as much as you can. Sometimes if you try to navigate into this section in a weird way, like right here for instance, you can get this kind of high launch, so try to avoid that. You can sometimes get cock blocked by that wall too. Right here, you kind of want to stop Pac-Man using the brake and then boost over here. And then feed the pack dots to this gate. So I have 11 pack dots in reserve. I'm actually going to restart the level just to kind of give you a more general idea of what that should look like in RTA. I don't want to restart this level too many times. So as you can see, I missed a pack dot there. That's fine. This is one of the longer levels, but it's also one of the more straightforward ones. Go through here. Over here, try to follow the brown path as much as you can. If you eat a ghost, it doesn't really matter, so try to avoid that if possible. Try to avoid getting launched upwards there. Okay, right there I have 9 remaining, so that's really, really good. So try to... From here, you just kind of want to combine your boosting with these boost paths so that you maximize how much speed you get without wasting anything. And then... This section will go a variety of ways depending on what your cycles are like when you get here, so how fast you've moved. So optimally, if you get here on proper cycles, you want to veer off to the right, and if you have enough reserve pack dots, you just kind of want to stick to just going on one side at a time to avoid the least amount of backtracking. So like, for example, this route would look a little something like this. So I go off to the right here, I take this right boost pad, grab all the pack dots from this part, grab this, and then grab the remaining ones I need from that line of 5, and I can just go in here. Now here we have the ball. The easiest way to do the ball is to just go from the higher up section to the lower section and just go in a circle and collect all the pack dots in each one. So once you get all, and it's okay if you miss a couple every now and then. So just get those. And then for this section, pay attention to where this power pellet is, because just a little bit to the right of it is where you want to go after this. And if you eat it, you want to remember where it was, because otherwise, if you try to exit the ball, then you'll likely just go the wrong direction, like right there, and you'll waste like 5 seconds, and that's obviously slow. So just remember where the power pellet is, and boost kind of off to the right, and you'll always be taking the same path. So then from there, you just kind of want to go to that section. So I'm only going to go for that one time, because this is one of the longer levels, so from there, you would just go over here, and if you have all 70 pack dots, oh, don't fall off here. You can fall off of this platform, and if you do so, you have to redo the entire... You have to go through the entire stage again and get to the gold platform. That wastes close to a minute, so don't do that. Do the gold platform, and you're done. So now we're going to be moving on to the first Galvis boss fight. This is one of the more straightforward ones, so... The way these boss fights work is, in order to damage Galvis, you need to eat 3 power pellets in order to make him become eatable and then eat him, and you need to do this 3 times. As you can see, he has 3 bars of health right here, and this will never change. So, when you start the fight, okay, the power pellets will always appear in the same spots on every fight. So, regardless of, like, there's no RNG really in these fights, except for Galvus's attacks and World 4, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So, to start, you just kind of want to memorize where the power pellets are. I'm going to kind of go through this a little bit. So there's a power pellet right there. Just kind of keep boosting through this section. It doesn't really matter if you're constantly boosting, because for these 3rd power pellets, you want to wait for Galvus to catch up, and then eat him, like that. And from here, you want to boost back to the start as soon as possible, because there's going to be a power pellet that spawns right before this downwards turn. Like that. And go off to the left here, there's a power pellet here. Go behind this box, grab Night Pack, so that you don't need to grab Night Pack, it doesn't really matter, because you can get this first power pellet without Night Pack, but it just makes it a lot more easier and reliable, and it doesn't waste any time, because you still have to wait for all the ones worth it anyways. And you can also use it to break through the boxes and make your life a little bit easier. So again, right here. I'm only going to go through that one time, because it's really just a matter of memorizing where the power pellets are, and if you just go forwards the entire time, you're going to be fine. Except for that one point where you have to backtrack into the water, but you should be fine. Anyways, we're done with World 2. That's the shortest world. That's the shortest world level-wise. So hopefully, this is where the run's going to start to get a little bit more complicated. So we're going to start with World 3. So the first part of World 3 is actually pretty simple. So you're going to want to just go over here, go onto this platform, and there are audio cues in the music for when to go on the bounce pad, so you listen very carefully. Like that. Because this first part is an auto-scroller, what you can do here to speed up the Galvus escape later on is you can actually boost off right here, and then I did not do that well. I didn't show that off the optimal way, but what you can do is boost off, feed what pack dots you have to the gate, and then go back and then catch your ride. This could potentially shave off a couple seconds, and could make or break whether or not you get a platform cycle. So again, listen for the music for that. Turn the camera around here to make this easier. Go over here, boost to this corridor, and if you do that right, you should have enough time to make it back. And again, use audio cues here. Do not grab Night Pack, it is slow and you don't need it. So from here you want to go to this middle section, and you want to just grab all the pack dots in each of these ramps. Do not miss a single one with this route. If you missed this pack dot earlier, you want to go off to the right here, because it's better to go off to the right than to the left. If you missed this pack dot earlier, you can just fall off to get it. And then do a boost here. Go over here. Pinky will probably be in your way, but you can just damage boost through her. Grab all the pack dots from here. You should have 3 extras. Then head over here and feed the rest to the gate, and then just boost here and grab Light Pack. Now, if you did this fast enough, you should be able to catch a cycle. You should be able to reach the card around the 45-second mark. And that's the fastest cycle. So what you want to do now that you have Light Pack, provided you didn't miss a single pack dot on the stage, what you can do is get on this first car. And now I don't actually have to ride the car for the rest of the stage. So what you can do is grab these first 4 pack dots, ledge grab, top, and you can just do this between every single one of these platforms. These jumps are really tight, and if you are too fast going into these jumps, like right, let's say that happens, then there's no way to get back on the platform short of going onto the car and do that again. So make sure you just kind of slow down a little bit. It helps to kind of tap back on the joystick before touching the area. And the reason why you want to have every pack dot is because if you're going to be skipping the car, you can't actually make it to this platform. If you miss pack dots in the first section, but you're still able to make the cycle, just take the 5-second time loss of not doing the ledge grab hops and just go to this platform. From here, you can ditch the car again, because you can actually slow boost from here and land on. I didn't do it there. This requires fairly strict timing. So you want to slow boost from there. Kind of just hold up the entire time, and you should land it here. Just grab all these pack dots. If you still missed a ton, or if you fell off early, you can ledge grab hop over there, and there's some pack dots over there. And then you can slip this here and grab the rest of the pack dots here. And provided you did the route perfectly, you should have exactly enough pack dots. So I'm going to go through that stage one more time. just to kind of show you what it should look like. So again, you just roll forward, rely on audio cues for the bounces. It shouldn't be too hard to figure them out. And it's kind of lenient, so you don't have to worry. It's not like frame burn or anything. So just try to avoid missing pack dots in this first section and try to go fast as well. This stage will take a lot of practice to get down. Like when you see me do the stage optimally, like this stage takes a lot of work. This is probably one of the hardest stages to do optimally. And it's very easy to fall off those platforms. If you fall off those platforms, you basically lose your chance at the fastest cycle. So there you go. That should make the cycle. So you want to grab light pack because you can ledge grab hop between the platforms. I'm going to demonstrate. Let's just... Okay, I fell off there. That should not happen. Pac-Man's really slippery. It's very easy for that to happen. So I'm just going to miss this pack dot so I can demonstrate what you would do if you missed a pack dot and you really don't want to reset. And you just want to take the 5-second time to pull off. You can still ledge grab hop between these platforms, but here you have to wait for the car. So just wait for it and then use that bounce pad to get over here, and then you can switch off and go about your merry business. Here, grab these back dots. I think that's enough. There we go. There's 12 on top of that. So just remember that. And there you go. That is 3-1. Again, that stage will take a lot of practice. 3-2 is a relatively simple level, but there's a variety of ways you can go about it. So to start, just go up this left path, try to grab all the back dots. Try to avoid Clyde here. This section is terrible. You will almost always get hit by a ghost because their movement is extremely random, whether or not they stop early. So just try to aim for an opening if you can, and just boost over all of them. Take this Ferris wheel. The best route through this stage, you actually kind of want to inch to the right of this night pack card. It's not a huge deal if you grab it. Then go through here, grab all these pack dots. If you want to play it safe, you can grab this power pellet, and then go through here, and you don't have to worry about any of these ghosts. Then you can just kind of go back through this section. You want to grab Night Pack on the way back anyways, because you want to grab these underwater back dots. Do that. And then you can just go up this left path, grab the remaining pack dots, and you should, if you didn't get the power pellet, you should have 43 here, which actually works well for routing. If you don't want to eat the ghost in the next section, you can actually inch past this normal pack card, but it's faster to take normal pack, so like that. Because you're not going to see normal pack just moves so much faster. And if you want to get the light pack, if you don't want to get the night pack card, you can go over here, grab it, and then you can just kind of inch past this normal pack card. And you can just kind of do that. So from here, you want to grab all the pack dots here. This ghost is going to shoot at you, but if you're moving, it will never hit you. Over here, this will refill all your health wedges. So if you play this stage optimally, Blinky should be around and leaving this section by the time you get here, and he should move into this section. So and as you can see, there's a power pellet there. So what you're going to want to do is wait for the Ferris wheel, and then kind of take it, and then eat the power pellet, and then eat Blinky to get into night pack mode. If the power pellet runs out by some chance, then you can just do what I did earlier, which is just go over here, get the night pack card, and then just kind of inch past this normal pack card. And the reason why is because you need normal pack to finish this stage. So, also if you do that route exactly as I did, you should have exactly enough pack dots just by collecting these. If not, you can just grab some here. Okay, so there, and finish the level. Should take you around a minute flat. Alright, now it's time for 3-3. So before I enter the level, I'm just going to say, this is probably one of the most cycle-based levels in the entire run. And so you're going to want to work on your movement when you're doing this stage. Alright, so here we go. We're going to get started now. So just kind of, this level is relatively straightforward. I'm going to be pausing a lot. If you're going to pause, by the way, it's just the minus button. Plus, I think plus also pauses. No, it's just the minus button. So pause, you can either return the game or return to the stage select screen. Sometimes you can return, if you want to return to the stage select screen, like if you lose a life, If you die and then return to stage select screen, your life counter doesn't decrement. So to start, just roll forward, grab these pack dots, grab this, and try to make this cycle right here. You're allowed one spare pack dot in this entire first section, provided you don't need to get that box. Try to move around the ghosts. And you should make it right out around this cycle, right as this blue ghost is connecting with that red ghost. And then here, you just kind of boost through here. And then you go through this section. Now, here's the section where you get to minimize how much time you spend waiting on the platform. So you're actually not going to go to the right at all. And you're only going to go to the left for a little bit. And you're going to try to skip a cycle of waiting. So how you're going to do this is, as soon as you arrive here, just kind of grab some of these pack dots, go over here, grab 3 pack dots, and boost back. If you collected every pack dot in the first section, you only have to grab 2, but having that one spare is always nice, because this next part is a little bit tricky. So now you're going to want to grab the remaining pack dots from here, go on this platform, and now your goal is to try to get all the pack dots from this platform over here, and then go back before you lose your ride. This is really easy as light pack, which is why I grabbed it. So as you can see, you just kind of want to grab all these, and then boost back. It's fairly lenient. You should be able to grab all of them and then make it back. And then from there, you can just go take the center platform and go back. You want to kind of be faster, so try not to bump into any walls, because there is another cycle you want to make here. Go over here. Brandbot, I'll link you my YouTube playlist later. So right here, just kind of try to go back and forth. This is probably one of the hardest sections to do quickly. You don't need every pack dot from every area. You need at least 34 going into the final blue ghost platform. And you'll either have 1 or 0 going into this section. So just kind of really do some back and forth here. Grab this normal pack card, because you don't want to grab it. Okay, yeah, that can happen really easily if you try to take it really fast. So if you want to take it slow, you can just kind of grab every pack dot from here. You can afford to lose 1 cycle if you get here. But as you can see, because I was a little bit hasty on my pack dot collection, I was 1 short. Alright, I'm actually going to go through this level again, kind of at full speed, just to show you what it looks like, without all the pausing and stuff. Go through here. Over here. Keep an eye on those ghosts. These cycles, again, that first cycle is probably the hardest one to make. The last 2 are fairly lenient. Like, as you can see, I skipped the checkpoint, I can still make that one. And I got knocked back by a ghost and still made it. So you go over here. And I have 2 spare pack dots, but I'm just going to go over here and grab 3 and boost back. Fairly lenient timing for that. You should always be able to pull that off. Over here, grab all these. I missed that one, but that's okay, because as you can see, I have exactly enough. Which is why you want to grab 3, even if you grabbed everyone from the first section. Over here. Get on this platform, kind of ride it off, kind of do a left, right, to grab the pack dots, and then just kind of be quick here. I typically wait down around here so I can grab all the pack dots from here. These 2 groups of pack dots are a bit more clustered, so it's easier to grab them all. And then you just kind of want to grab the rest of those, and then just boost them again. You should get either a 104.9 or a 105 flat if you do the stage optimally. If you decide to wait an extra platform cycle at the end, you should get around a high 110 or a low 111 in game time. That's 3-3. 3-4 is next. This is the stage where you're going to want to be really, really tight on how many pack dots you collect, because there is going to be I'll explain it later. So you go through here, break through this middle box, grab night pack, go underwater, boost through this entire right column, and then just kind of go over here and collect all the pack dots to the left. You have 3 spare pack dots for this first gate anyway, so it's worth it to just collect all of them. Over here, try to damage boost through the ghost if you have to. If you miss 1 pack dot like I missed there, it's not worth it to go back and try to get it again. Go through here, break this middle box, grab all these, break this right box that I need to get back, grab this on your way back, and then go over here. I hope that was easy to follow. Anyway, so now you go through here, you boost into the water, and you want to grab that normal pack card, because again, normal pack just moves so much faster than night pack. So right here, you just kind of want to navigate these slopes. Don't worry about the ghosts, they'll never hit you. And if you miss Pac-Man dots like that, again, just don't bother going back to them. It's not going to save you much time. In fact, it shouldn't lose you time. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just showing you that I'm just getting everything going. Then you beat this gate. It doesn't matter if you get that checkpoint. So this gate, as you can see, requires 80 pack dots. It's guarding the gold platform. There's no way to skip it. So unfortunately, you have to go to the right here. And I don't think there's any way you can skip this checkpoint, but it's really, really important that you grab it. If you didn't ditch Night Pack by now for some reason, grab this normal pack card also. Now you're going to go on the roller coaster. And this is around a minute-long auto-scroller. So you just kind of have to tough it out. But I am going to show off one thing you can do to make your life a little bit easier. So for this first part, you can just kind of sit in the center. Once you reach the power pellet, try to have Pac-Man kind of closer to the right of the center, so that once you reach this power pellet, you can grab it and then quickly veer off to the left. I think I missed a pack dot there. It's really hard to get through this without missing any pack dots. So now, if you've missed more than 5 pack dots, I believe, I'm not entirely sure what the exact number is, but if you've missed more than 5 pack dots before here, you just want to ride the roller coaster all the way around. I didn't miss any. I did miss one while on it. If you miss at most, if you miss 4, then what you want to do once you reach 80 pack dots is you're actually just going to want to boost off the edge of the roller coaster and die. So what this does is it will put you back at the checkpoint, and it skips the rest of the roller coaster ride, and you can just boost back here, and you can be done with the level. I will warn you though, your life count, the reason why you don't want to do this so late into the ride is because since your life count will decrease by 1, it will cause you to, it will basically cause an autosave no matter what. So, if you don't feel like that 4 seconds is going to be worth it, then just ride the rest of it out. I think ultimately will probably save somewhere around 10 to 15 seconds though, so do what you want to do with it. Anyways, that's straight up 4. That's that level done, and the game's going to autosave here, again, because my life count changed. Alright, so now it's time for the World 3 boss. This is probably the hardest boss fight in the run. So, I'm going to show, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show off the easy way to do this phase first, and then I'm going to show off actually, you know what, I'm just going to show off there's an easy and a hard method to do the second phase, there isn't for the first phase. So what you want to do is to start off the fight, you want to go off to the right, and there's a power pellet right behind here. You also want to grab light pack, because when you go over here, you can grab this power pellet and then use the bounce pads to fly all the way to this power pellet. That first phase is really easy. Now I'm going to show the easy way to do the second phase. The easy way to do the second phase is to get the left one first, and then use this to bounce all the way over here, grab this top one. Galvis hopefully shouldn't get in your way. And then you grab this third one, and you can eat Galvis. But that's just the easy way of doing that. Actually, I'm just going to restart the level, so that my life count stays consistent. So again, you go off to the right, grab this power pellet, head over to the left. This is a very, very easy stage to die in, so be really, really careful. Grab Galvis. Now the hard strat, try to pay attention to Galvis as he's spawning, and get a feel for how long it takes for him to come back, and head over to the bottom, grab this power pellet first, damage abuse through Galvis if you have to, and then head to the second section, and then get to this third section. This saves a little bit of travel time, but it's way riskier. And that single phase will take a lot of practice to get down. That's another really, really easy section to die to. And I haven't brought this up yet, but if you die in anywhere in the boss fight, you have to redo the entire fight. So now, grab the normal pack for the start of the third phase, and head back to the center. So what you want to do here is stun lock Galvis for as long as you can, so that you don't risk falling off the stage. Because he can knock you off the stage really easily in this fight. So what you want to do is wait until the 2 ghosts that he spawns appear before eating the first power pellet, and then wait until he's done with his stun animation to eat the second power pellet. And this will stun him again, because if you wait too long, if you don't wait long enough, then then the first stun animation will end before the second one can start, and he'll just start moving right away. And that's obviously not what you want. And then if you do those 2, you can just eat the 3rd ghost, and you won't have to risk it. So start the 3rd phase. Wait for the 2 ghosts to spawn, eat this, wait for him to be done with the stun animation, eat that, and then just go over here and eat the 3rd ghost, and then just finish him off. And there you go. That is all of World 3. Now we're going to move on to World 4. This is, I believe, the longest world in the run. As you can see, there are 6 stages, and World 5 only has 5. This is actually World 5 in the DS version of the game. This is actually based off of the 2005 DS game, Pack and Roll. This is probably this is without a doubt the hardest world in the run. A lot of good runs are going to die here. So we're going to start with 4-1, and right off the bat, I do not have any advice for this first section other than just go for it. So take that bottom left boost pad, get recoil from the top right, and just kind of go about it however you please. And then try to avoid the boost pads and bounce. The entire outer walls of that first section are covered in bounce pads, and it just flings you around the stage. Those ghosts can also easily knock you into the boost pads, and one final bit of advice. Every single gate in this level requires you to collect every pack dot in each section. For this section is straightforward, but it's really tricky. You just kind of want to go across the columns. So go up, down. These ghosts are irritating, and if you boost at even the slightest wrong time, you're going to run into these bounce pads, and it's just going to fling you around. This stage is quote-unquote Pac-Man pinball on steroids, so it's really bad. So just go through here, and then you want to boost down here, and then boost back up. Hit this bounce pad. Kind of go around, just kind of go in 2 circles for these pack dots with these things, and try to avoid getting bounced by them. This second set is a little faster, so you want to kind of look at it a bit more. If you feel risky, you can kind of cut through the middle like that. I would not recommend that when starting out, though. That is an extremely precise maneuver. And then afterwards, beat this gate, go up here, break that block to the metal pack. If you're fast enough here, you can make a cycle. Try to be fast here so that you can stay on the cycle you're on. It's really difficult to do that. So optimally, it should go like that. And from there, you can't bounce straight to the button, but you can bounce up there. Just kind of go through there. And optimally, you can boost there. Grab the checkpoint, grab the normal pack, grab the power pellet, and then hit that button to make all the walls lower, and then just boost straight to the end. If you happen to eat ghosts on the way down, you can eat ghosts on the way down. They'll sometimes just get in your way. It's unavoidable. Yeah. And now it's time for 4-2. This first section, this is probably one of the most straightforward levels in the entire run. So this first section, just go through, dodge these falling walls. They'll damage you with 1 HP. They'll damage you by 4-1 health if you get hit by them. That part, you kind of you don't want to approach it and then try to clear the jump right away, because you get kind of brushed up against that wall and it'll kill all your height, like it did there. So try to slow down a little bit and try to head back a little bit before doing that. So from here, you get this checkpoint, go through here, try to grab all the pack dots in this section. These falling platforms are really slow. Here, you want to pay attention to what cycle these rolling like barrels are on. Try to aim for the one on the right, damage boost through it, and then just try to go from that side to the other side and grab as many pack dots as you can. You should have around 7 or 8. So you go from here, damage boost, kind of like that. So I had 9 there. That was pretty good. But I also grabbed every pack dot for the first couple sections. So then you go here. Yep. For this section, you can either play it safe and just go through every single bounce pad, or if you want to be fast, you can. When doing this, I would highly recommend grabbing the normal pack card before grabbing the light pack card, because otherwise it's really easy to do that, and you're kind of screwed. You try to do this, and then you want to take this bounce pad, try to aim for this 4th one here, and then aim for this last one that has 3. That's those Raleigh X special flags or 1-ups if you need them. There's also 1 health refill and a normal pack card if you want it. So grab you don't want to aim for that very last one because it only has 2, and you want to, because you're skipping all those sets of pack dots, You really want to get as many as you can from this section. This level does have a lot of pack off, so it shouldn't matter too much. Anyways, just fly over here, grab these normal pack cards, or not. I didn't actually know you could do that. Try to damage boost. You can damage boost through those if you have to. Just grab all the back off from here. You should have around 30. You should have anywhere from 30 to 33 when leaving that area. And then from here, this is another area where I would not recommend boosting here as a beginner, because this is another area where, provided the camera is the way it is, the optimal angle to boost requires you to hold a direction that isn't in your notches. So it's very easy to just like hit this wall and then go flying off and die. Just kind of boost here. I have no advice for this next section other than you are probably going to get a hit at least twice, because these walls are really difficult to get past without taking damage. You have to be really quick here. So just gonna go up here. This first wall is probably the easiest, but I still got damage by it, of course. I died. That's fine. I'm not gonna bother going back. That's fine. So you shouldn't die there. So just kind of go through there. That requires really strict maneuvering to get past without taking damage, and again, you're probably going to take damage there a lot. So anyways, here you kind of want to go off to the left a little bit, and by there you should have enough packed up that you can just do straight up and you'll get there. I'm actually going to show that stage again. I'm going to go through that stage again at full speed just to kind of give you a better idea. I'm also not going to take light pack just to show you what that would look like, because that will lead to some minor cycle differences, as well as some differences in how many pack drops you have at the end of the level. So there's going to be some minor routing changes. Damage boost through there. So this is what it would look like if you don't take light pack. You have to bounce on every single one of these, and it's really, really slow. If you die there, that Rally X special flag can help increase your life count. So if you don't grab light pack, then the cycles here are actually a bit more forgiving. And you have way more reserve packed up. Okay, I did not mean to die there. Please get up. Okay. I'm probably not going to actually beat this level, but I'll activate the gold platform. Yeah, as you can see, this section is really annoying. As you can see, I have 50 packed off, so literally you don't even have to zigzag. You can just boost straight through there, and you're at the end of the stage. Alright, I'm just going to touch the gold off into the next level. You can exit even after leaving the stage, although that's not allowed for any percent. You have to actually beat the level, because otherwise then if you were doing this NG, then the next level wouldn't unlock. Alright, now it's time for 4-3, another cycle-based level. So for the first part, you can either do this with boosting or without boosting. With boosting, it's easier to make a fast cycle, but without boosting, it's just easier in general. So without boosting, it would look a little something like this. You kind of want to wait before going across each platform for them to kind of line up. For these, you want to wait. For these last two, you want to wait until the platform is all the way down and then boost and pull up. And even then, you might sometimes still not make it. So that's kind of how that section sometimes looks without boosting. But this is what it looks like with boosting, and this is actually not that hard. You have to make kind of like minor adjustments to your control stick angle, but it shouldn't be. You should learn that relatively quickly. And you cannot make that cycle. If it looks like I just barely missed it, you cannot make that cycle. But you can make this cycle. You can make this cycle without the boosting. This is relatively simple. You just bounce across. For this next section, you just want to boost into these bounce pads like this, because then you get much momentum. You can't cross the gap without it. Do another boost there. Get knocked back by this. This section is really, really careful. So you want to get to around. You want to get her to around 30 pack dots here, around 31, 32. And then you want to boost off to this second bounce pad platform right here, because that actually saves like 2 seconds, and it's relatively tricky. You just do that. And hopefully you can beat that platform, that little thing, before it gets to you. And then you want to wait until you're at around 55 pack dots, and then get through that gate. Somewhat simple level. I'm actually gonna show that again just to show you. You can play it a little bit safer for that last section if you want. Boost across these platforms. It's really, really easy, and I would definitely recommend learning it. because it makes this cycle free. If you really want to be greedy, you can try to get every pack off from here. You kind of want to delay when you take this bounce pad, but it's really difficult. You're basically bouncing this one. Here. So if you want to play it kind of safe here, you don't have to go. Try to go as far back as you can before you start rolling away. And then if you want to just not boost, you can just take all three of these. And then you can go even further back here. Grab the rest of these. And you should have enough by the time you get there. Okay, I didn't finish the level, but whatever. You get the idea. But now we're going on to what I personally think is the hardest level in the run. Or at least one of the scariest. This level is basically a long downward spiraling path with no golf escape, so you don't need to collect any pack dots. And you basically just want to boost as much as you can. Boosting around turns like this, I would recommend kind of gradually switching the angle and then changing the camera. Here you kind of just want to avoid the slopes. Avoid slopes as much as you can in this level. Grab that checkpoint. Boost into these bounce pads. So already, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff you need to talk about this level, so I'll probably have to replay this level 1 or 2 times. So, as you can see, most of the boosts that I'm doing around the turns, you kind of want to gradually change your camera angle and the angle you're holding. I don't really know how to explain it better than that, but you do not want to go anywhere near the slopes, or it is very easy for Pac-Man's momentum to just get skewed and then you fall off the edge and die. And the checkpoints in this level are super spread out, so dying in this level can cost up to 40 seconds and can basically kill any good pace runner. So right here, the safest strat I would recommend is grabbing the power pellet and just going off to the right. Because then you can eat a ghost and you can just move forward here. Boosting here is actually really easy. Boosting here is not. You can do one extra boost here, but I'm not going to just because I want to play it safe. And then you can actually boost through this section. When boosting through this section, you want to kind of be... Okay, I died there, but that's fine because I can show this again. You notice how I'm kind of changing the camera from time to time. I'm also barely switching my angle from up to upright right before I'm switching my camera, because it just makes it easier to avoid falling off. And then you go from here. Continue boosting around this turn. For the win, you kind of want to switch between holding up and upright, because then you won't get as affected by the wind, and you can just go through there safely with basically a guaranteed success. You don't have to boost through the wind if you don't want to, but it's not hard. So here, this is the section where you normally would have to ride these bounce pads all the way across, but it's so you can just go off to the side here. So bounce over these things, boost twice, bounce over this thing again. Go off to the left here because Blinky is never going to go in that direction. It's just boost through here. This section is actually really easy to boost through. And right here, you just want to take every single boost pack. So you're going to have to hold back after every single one. If you try just holding forward the entire time, you're not going to get enough distance to clear. You can't skip any of these platforms. If you try to, you're just going to die. And since the last checkpoint I got was before the wind section, you would lose roughly 35 seconds. So, just like this. Here, and then optimally you can try fitting in one more boost, but sometimes you won't get the momentum. You won't become airborne from the ramp, and if that happens, if you do get airborne, just land straight on the goal platform. If not, just land on there. All right, I'm gonna kind of show you how you can go through that level a bit more safely without like death. So notice how I'm not necessarily boosting when I'm going near the turns. Optimally, you don't want to do that. You want to try to take the corners as tightly as possible, so... This is kind of a safe run through the stage, so you kind of boost through there. Make sure you grab every checkpoint you want. You want to grab every checkpoint you can. This is actually a bit of a riskier strat. You can kind of boost in between those two guys. That's actually a bit of a riskier strat, but it should take too much practice. It's going to take... This stage is another stage that will take a lot of practice. But again, you can circumvent some of the boosts. Like, for example, I didn't use boost over there. Again, Here you just want to switch between holding up and on the right. Here you just kind of want to stay off to the left and just boost whenever you need to. And then take the bounce pads to get over those things. Here you just kind of want to boost off to the left. And then you can go over here, take these things. And as you can see, even with taking it safe there, I still got a 1:18 in-game time, which as you can see is only 6 seconds off the IL record. That stage, again, that stage is going to take a lot of practice to get down. I really don't have any good advice for that stage other than just practice it and practice it a lot. Yeah. All right. Let's check something real quick. Next up is time for 4-5. This is without a doubt the most complicated level in the game. So there is a glitch in this game. If you notice, I've been taking a lot of bounce pads, but you can actually boost while you're grounded on these bounce pads. And the same thing applies to lava, which there's a lot of in this level. I did not mean to exit the stage. The start of the stage is relatively simple. Just boost while holding up, take this bounce pad, grab all the pack dots from here, and then try to grab those two, take that bounce pad, and just go over here. And try to get all the pack dots kind of from this top row first and break Pac-Man in place so that he doesn't roll all over. And then grab all the ones from this bottom row, try to avoid taking damage. And then boost over here, and you should be able to beat this first gate. There are 54 pack dots in this first section, but 3 of them that you want to skip are these 2, so you only really have 1 spare pack dot, so make sure you get good at that. So now I'm going to demonstrate bounce boosting. So it's basically that. So that's bounce boosting, where you just kind of boost at the exact same time you're grounded, like right here. And you can use that in this section. So I'm going to show off 2 variants you can do this section. So you can take that first bounce pad and you will skip a bunch of these bounce pads. And then you can either do this, and then you can take those 2 bounce pads, and then you can take this inner one and take this outer one, and you're done. Alternatively, I'm going to grab this help just to play a little bit safe here. Alternatively, you can do it this way. I'm going to go back here. I know this is really slow, but alternatively, you can take this one, then take this one, then take this one. I should point out, bounce boosting and lava boosting is basically frame perfect, and it does require shaking your Wii remote at a very precise time, and motion control inputs are not exactly the easiest to manipulate, so that they occur at the right time. So this is, again, another stage you're really going to want to practice. If you don't want to do bounce boosting at all, which I wouldn't recommend because it does save a lot of time, even if you take a couple tries on each one, it does save a lot of time. Then what you can do is you can go through here, take this, I did not mean to hit that. Kind of take the inner ones more because they give you the best momentum. You want to kind of take that route. So now we're going to get to the first set of falling towers. This is where the run really starts to get difficult. So the way you're intended to climb these falling towers is by doing this. You just you want to boost into those bounce pads and then take all these bounce pads up the tower. Well, that's really slow and really, really bad. So there are 2 things you can do here. You can actually damage boost around these. So what you would do is you boost around here, and you boost into the lava, and then you just take 2 damage, and you're done. And you can grab this health, and then you can do the same thing around this tower. If you want to take it a step further, you can actually, first of all, you can approach it from the left side. Second of all, you can actually do bounce boosting on lava. So I'll kind of demonstrate it here, and then I'll show you what you would do in the run. I would not recommend just frantically shaking the Wii remote when doing this. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Instead, I would recommend just trying to time it. It is really difficult to time, and there really isn't a good visual indicator. So just kind of want to go by feel. So optimally, what it would look like, you would boost in the lava, do 1 hit, get a lava boost, Okay. And you have to watch your health here. Like, health is a major concern, so I'm okay with dying there. So when you approach this, what you would do is you would approach here, and then you would crouch, and then you would boost in the lava, do a lava boost there, and then do the same thing around this tower, but from the other side. Boost into that bounce pad to skip those first 2 platforms, and then take the last 3. Now, if you have 6, 5, or 4 HP left here, preferably 6 or 5, then you want to do a second set of lava boosts here. And what you want to do is just boost the lava off to the right, and then just do. You want to get at least 2 good lava boosts, and you want to end this section with at least 2 health remaining, and grab that. And there are 2 things you can do here. You can either try to roll onto the platform, or if you really want to play it safe, you can just lava boost on the platform and sacrifice 1 bit of health if you have it. Take this bounce pad and then right this one. You can do a bounce boost there if you want to skip having to wait on that last one. For this last set of lava boosts, I'm probably gonna replay the stage again. For this last set of lava boosts, to skip this last set of falling towers, you wanna get at, if you have 4 HP, you do not have to get a lava boost there. If you have 3 HP, you have to. And if you have 2 HP, it's just not possible at all. So, alright. So that, I spent a while on that stage, so I'm gonna go through it again and just gonna try to show you what it looks like. So again, just boost forward. Collect all these pack dots. It's okay if you miss that one, you can get it on the way back. If you want to try to be optimal here, you can try to grab some of those from the left side first. I unfortunately missed a couple there, so that's not good. But if you need to, you can just grab some from there. So you go through here, take this, do a bounce boost here, do a bounce boost here, and do a bounce boost here. And that saves a lot of time, so you go through here. You do a lava boost here, get this health. Do another lava boost here. Okay, so I have 4 HP here, so that's actually kind of bad. So I'll actually show off climbing these towers the intended way. So this is what you skip by doing the second set of lava boosts, and you can fall off early on each of these. If you're not comfortable with doing if you don't think you can manage your health properly and get all 3 of those, then this is and you want to skip this one, although it does save probably the most time. Although, if you have extra health from that, you can just sacrifice a lava boost or 2 there to skip some of the platforms. So it would all pay off in the end. So you can lava boost right here, try to get a lava boost there, and there you go. So again, this level, it's really confusing to explain, and there's a lot of backup strats and stuff you can do. Just for the sake of it, I'll show off going through this section the intended way. If you happen to have fewer HP than you should. So you take these, you want to try to bounce on each of these twice. Again, you skip doing this if you have to do the lava boosts. Alright, I have enough lives, right? Okay. So that's 4-5. Feel free to ask me any questions if you're still confused, as I know that was really kind of confusing. Alright, let's go to the full 4 boss. So this first phase is pretty much RNG, actually. You have to have all this rotate the platform in the right way. And hopefully he does what he just did there, and he'll rotate it 3 out of 3 times, but sometimes he won't do that. However, there's a workaround to that. You can actually just slope boost to these power pods. So what you do here is you just move down, slope boost to that one, and then you can slope boost to the left and right one. You can also lava boost, but that's less effective. These are kind of tricky. This is kind of tricky to do and requires really good positioning. And you also kind of have to rely on the platform RNG not messing you up. So from there you can eat Galvus and it's fine. So Galvus can rotate the platform 1 of 2 ways here, so let's see what RNG he gives me. Okay, if the platform starts tilting downwards at the start of the second phase, head to the upper left power pellet immediately and just rest under it, and you should grab it. If it starts tilting to the left, head to the upper right one first. So head to this one first if it tilts to the left, head to this one first if it tilts this way. Because that will minimize the amount of time you spend waiting on this platform. And then just grab this one and roll over here. And then Golbus again. And try to head back to the center of the platform as soon as possible, because this is the phase where Golbus kind of dips the platform in the lava and starts messing around with that, but you don't have to worry about that at all. So instead, what you're going to do is grab the center one, head to the right, grab that one on the right, because Golbus is always going to move the platform to the right at the start of this phase, and then you can just use lava boosting to get the one on the left. And this is, I forgot to mention this, but this and the previous level are the levels where having those extra bars of health is really useful, because you can't do some of the strats that I'm doing here without those extra bars of health. So definitely make sure you figure out all those if you're going to do those strats. So everyone grab the right one. If you want to do a lava boost there, you can, but you don't have to. Just boost for Golbus, and that's it. So there we go. That's World 4. Hopefully that was explained well enough, because this is the hardest world in the run without a doubt. A lot of these stages are going to take a lot of practice to get down, mainly 4-4 and 4-5. You just practice a lot is the only advice I can really give to you. Anyways, now it's time for World 5. So this is a world that's exclusive to the Wii version of the game, and what's hilarious about this part of the run, every single one of these 4 levels has a skip that I would highly recommend learning, and because these skips save a big chunk of time. So anyways, here we go. Let's start with 5-1, where we are only going to be playing one section of the level as intended. So to start, just go down here, grab these 4 pack dots, break the box on the right for 3 pack dots, grab all the ones in this circle. This route is relatively straightforward, you should memorize it easily. You can miss 3 pack dots, I believe, in this first room, so... Okay, I've already missed 2, so that's kind of bad. There we go. There's 53 pack dots in this first room, but you only need 50. So, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and explain this now. So, there's the goal platform, and this is the start of the level. So you would think, oh, you can just slope boost to that from here, because there's a bunch of slopes around here. That would be the case, but as you'll notice, there's a bunch of weird collision around this area. I have no idea what any of it is supposed to be. And try as you might, under these circumstances, you will not get to the goal platform. Even if you try boosting directly from here to the corner, you just cannot cover that distance. It looks like you can come really close, but in all actuality, you just cannot make that. You cannot cross that gap fast enough. Pac-Man's momentum just gets cut short way too quickly. And I'm gonna try to get it from a side angle. Like as you'll see, yeah, it's not even close. But with Light Pack, which you can only get in the second section, you can use this slope. Hopefully. I can't do this with normal Pac, but I'm just demonstrating. You can use this slope to actually bypass most of that and get onto the corner of the skull platform, which there are 3 sections to this level. This is the first section, and there's no way to skip this first gate, believe me, I've tried. And the second gate, you go through the second section, there's a bunch of little platforming here. Then you go through the third section, and there's some boxes you have to break and whatnot. You can skip the second and third gates of this level. So what you want to do is you get to this third section, you grab Light Pack, you do a boost here, and you'll either get height from that slope or you won't. If you don't get height, you just kind of want to navigate around this platform, go through here. You don't really have to boost there. So what I like to do here is I like to position the camera like this, because this kind of gives you the easiest view. Like if you can do it with this angle, I think Joester98 did it with this angle, but if you do it with this, then you really just have to rely on holding notches. So you want to boost facing this direction, and you want to gain as much height as possible, and then hold straight left and aim for the corner of the goal platform. So it looks something like this. Okay, so I stopped holding left there for a brief moment, but it should look a little something like this. Let's try that again. There we go. That's actually really, really easy. Yeah. Sometimes when you do the skip, you'll ledge grab on the platform, like this. If this happens, you can just get inside just fine. This skip saves 45 seconds, 45 to 50 seconds over doing the level as intended. And is probably the biggest skip in the game, and again, it's not hard at all. You literally just go here, boost while holding straight up, and then just switch straight to left, and you'll land on the platform pretty much every time. And from that, you just boost to the goal platform, and you just skipped 2/3 of the level, basically. So that's 5-1. Hopefully I explained that skip well enough. Now it's time for 5-2, and this is the second fastest level in the run. So what you want to do at the start here is you want to boost forward, and I'm going to show the gate skip route. If people want to, I can try to show the non-gate skip route, but the gate skip route is really easy. So what you do here is you're going to fall, and I'm going to pause here. If you notice these pink and blue platforms, normally when you fall this high of a distance, the game will kill Pac-Man. But if you fall in just the right way and aim for the right parts of the stage, then Pac-Man won't die. However, even if you're above collision, there are instances where Pac-Man can die. So when doing this first shortcut, you want to try to land around this region, so around this blue platform. I know it's kind of hard to see because the game is paused, but around this blue platform where my cursor is pointing at right now, you want to land for that, although your goal platform is this one, because if you try to land on these platforms, you're just going to fall through the floor and die. Because the game will kill you before you get that far. So you want to fall down here. There's a gate skip in this level too. So you fall down here, and then you go to this platform. And now your goal is to get to these platforms down here, which will skip like this entire section. So as the platform is moving down, just hold up and aim for these platforms. It's really that easy. I'm gonna die just to kind of show it off again. So let me grab this. Actually, I'm just gonna exit the level again. So again, this is what it looks like optimally. You just boost, fall onto this second to last blue platform, go over to this blue platform, wait until it moves down, and then just hold up. It used to be believed that a camera change was required to keep the game from killing you, but it actually isn't. You just have to fall in the right parts of the stage. And there you have to have the right amount of momentum falling too. If you fall and you're moving too slow, then you won't reach the platforms in time, and the game will kill you. So from there, you just go over here, you go over here. Make sure you hit this checkpoint, because this gate skip is hard. So now here comes the gate skip. This is probably the trickiest one. So the collision in this area is not good at all. It's really, really glitchy. Like, watch what happens when Pac-Man like tries to ledge grab here. Notice how he kind of, yeah, Pac-Man can't even ledge grab there sometimes. There's a bunch of weird slopes all around the area. Oh yeah, you slope boost here to skip part of that area. And this little, hold on, let's see if I can pause and get a good view of these. Because, okay, you can kind of see here. This little lip right here, I'm actually gonna try to back up here. God, this is really hard. Okay, this lip right around here has weird properties that a lot of ledges around this area have, where if Pac-Man lands on it in just the right way, he'll actually kind of bounce and gain a lot more height than he should normally be able to. So I'm going to try to demonstrate it. It is kind of precise. That's what you do. Come on. This is really difficult to do when you're not actually trying to do the skip. Like that. And that is actually going to give you enough height to reach this goal platform. There's like 4 different ways you can skip the gate in this level, but I'm just for the sake of this, I'm going to show what the most consistent and the fastest one is. So the way I like to approach this is I like to have kind of like this camera, and when the hammer is swinging from right to left, if you're trying it when it swings from left to right, it will likely hit you and you die. So you want to try to land on the lip. And you want to have as little speed as possible when you land on the lip. You also kind of want to. It doesn't really matter where on the lip you hit, but alright, I'm gonna try to get a good view of it again. You want to kind of land at somewhere around this area, because that'll give you both the best bounce and the best probability of reaching the platform. Also, when you want to have very little momentum going into the bounce, but in the bounce, you want to hold a direction as soon as possible. So notice how I kind of kill my momentum before I land on the platform, and then I hold a direction as soon as I land. And if you are holding towards the goal platform, you should land it every time. That can happen sometimes. That's what happens if you go a bit too far forward. And And if you don't go forward far enough, then you'll either ledge grab and you can just hop out of it and try again, or you'll just like miss the bouncing, or you just miss the ledge entirely and you fall to your death. This is a pretty finicky skip, but this does save a lot of time. And you can mess around with this if you want. This is just the setup that I use. Okay, I'm actually going to restart the level just to kind of get a better feel for it. So just to give you an idea on how fast this level can be with all these skips. So again, you start off, aim for this blue platform, aim for this blue platform, go on that pink platform. As you can see, I'm at the final checkpoint. I'm only 9 seconds old. Then you can boost up here. Okay, that's what happens if you are a bit hasty in your setup there. And if you don't hold forward for long enough, this takes a really good amount of timing. But like, there you go. And like, this isn't like, I wouldn't say this is pixel perfect or like frame perfect or anything. You do need to have a really, really good position though. And there really isn't a good setup for this, but I get it with this setup fairly consistently. So that should say something. Ball from here, ball to here. You can play around with the camera if you want to make it a little easier to see what you're doing. Again, make sure you're doing an S-little hammer swinging from right to left. There you go. And from there, you can just enter the goal platform and you're done with the level. And you can do that in under 15 seconds. Makes it the second fastest level in the game. So what is the fastest level in the game? 5-3. Literally, this is the entire stage. Because this level is so vertically based, it's super easy to skip from a higher part to a lower part. So literally, this is the stage. You hold left and you boost, and you land on this gear. Then you boost to this gear, you boost to the goal platform, and you're done. That's literally the whole level. Don't try to go too far down on the gear when you do this first boost, because otherwise the game will kill you. You boost to this gear, you boost to this, and then boost straight to the goal platform, and you're done with the level in under 6 seconds. That's literally all there is to 5-3. That's literally all I'm going to say. So now let's move on to 5-4. There are a ton of ways you can go around this stage. So I'm going to kind of show it off the best way that I'm going to show off the easy route first and then show off the fast route, which is much more difficult, but is basically required if you want to go for world record. So to do the easy route, you just kind of want to go in a circle around this section and grab all the back dots. You don't need to grab all of them. And then hold back when you do that initial jump on the ramp, and try to stop yourself. I kind of forgot to stop myself there. You kind of want to stop yourself by the very edge. And you want to hold back when you start the ramp, and then you can hold forward, and then stop yourself, and then just kind of grab all these back dots, and then go through here, through there. You need at least 19 pack dots coming out of that right before the checkpoint. Here's a bit of a cycle skip you can do. You can actually skip a cycle waiting on these little gear things by just, I guess these are like gear handles or something. You can go around this first one if you have precise enough movement, and then kind of cut inside of the second one. And that saves the whole cycle of waiting. Just grab all these. And now we get to utilize crisscrossing for the first time. So as you kind of saw me do in 5-2, you can actually go across the corners of these goal platforms. And then, so what you do is you go from the blue platform to the pink, and then corner across here, and then do it on that set of 3 pink corner crossers. You can do a corner crosser on that last set of 3 pinks. So you take these ramps, at this checkpoint, just kind of wait on these things. There really isn't a way around these. Go up here. Don't boost up these stairs. Don't boost up that ramp. Boost on that ramp so you can skip that gear. Now, here comes the tricky part of the level. From here on outwards, this can go a variety of ways depending on how slow you are. If you optimally in a run, once you figure out cycles, you're going to know exactly what cycle this hammer is on. I do not, because I did not play this section optimally, but if you want, you can kind of move forward a little bit and see where it's at before doing this, if you're trying to play it safe here. Because this hammer will very easily wreck you. So you kind of want to boost past it there. And here's a wind section with another hammer. Just kind of fight against it. It's really not that difficult. And now we get to what potentially might be the different sections. So I'll show off the easy skip first. Actually, no, I'll show off the harder skip first. So I'll try and demonstrate this. So that, okay, you can kind of see like the, okay, right there. That's the final gear of the level. So if you use this these light pack cards and this bounce pad, and you bounce from the very edge of it, you can actually reach this gear, which skips a long wind section that's like a long path with a bunch of wind and hammers and then a bunch of gears. This is kind of, it's very cycle based because you can't see the gear, and furthermore, you have to land on the, as you can see, there's kind of a bunch of teeth on the gear. You have to land on a tooth of the gear. You can go far enough to land without landing on a tooth, but you also have to land on a part of the gear that doesn't have a boost pad, otherwise you will die no matter what. So I'm going to go for it and show you what it kind of looks like. Okay, so I had no, once again, like the hammers beforehand, once you get there, if you figure out your route, you will know exactly what cycle you're on, and so you'll be able to know when to time it. But if you don't feel like trying to mess with this skip because you think it's too cycle dependent and your movement is too slow in the level, there is a skip that's much easier. So what you do is you take these bounce pads, you go through this section, you go here, you take this boost, you take this bounce pad, and then you take this final bounce pad, and you can literally just go straight to the goal platform. It's that easy. So I'm going to show off that route again, and then I'm actually going to try to show off the faster route. So again, you just kind of go in a circle, grab all these back dots. You should have like 2 or 3 spares here. Here, just past this thing, grab these. I have 2 spare pack dots here, so that's good. You can do the cycle skip here. You do have to go rather far outwards because that thing's hitbox does extend a little bit outwards, so you do kind of have to play around with it. Anyways, you do the corner cutters here. I was a little bit hasty there, but there you go. So optimally, when you do this, if you're going to go for the fast skip, don't boost up that ramp, boost across there, and just go straight for this boost. You don't have to wait at all. I stand corrected. Okay, so that happened. So you can just boost straight across it. That does happen. And if you happen to fail the, if you want to go for the normal skip, the easiest way I would recommend doing this if your cycles are off is just die. Because this will actually reset the cycles of the gear, and from there, you just want to wait around 2 seconds and then go for it. It's pretty much that simple. Or you can just go for the alternate skip if you happen to die earlier in the stage. So that's kind of the basic premise. I am going to show fast 5-4 now. This only major difference in this is the beginning of the level, and there are timer cues for the last 2 parts, for like the boost past that hammer and the skip. This is a much trickier route, but it saves around 4 seconds over doing the other route. And you get 1 spare pack dot on the first section. So what you do is you just boost straight forward at the start, and this gear tooth will line up. And now this second boost is yet another boost where you kind of want to have to hold in between the up, left, and left notches, because this isn't exactly in the notches of your controller. Kind of like that. That was kind of a bad example. You want to miss 1 pack dot from there, then grab those 4. Okay, yeah, that was really bad. Again, this route is really finicky, and you have to be really fast in order to save time with it. So again, boost straight, boost up left, grab those pack dots. Then you want to grab 4 from here, save that middle one for last, take this boost pad up, and then boost down, and then just boost straight to the gear, and you can grab that pack dot. It's really, really precise. Then you can just barely make it past that gear. And as you can see, I still have 1 reserve pack dot, so I'm fine. You can do it, move around those things. So then you can speed the pack dots to the gate. You have to wait for these platforms to do the corner cutting here. And you have to wait for these things no matter what. So now we have timer cues. So what you're going to do is after doing this boost, you're going to wait until 45 seconds on the timer, boost past this hammer, then wait until around 49 seconds, and do the skip. So if you're willing to grind out this level and become fast enough to be able to make that cycle consistently, then you should be able to just memorize those timer cues, and you should be able to get the skips every time. And again, if you don't want to do that skip, the skip where you go from the bounce pad straight to the gold platform is much, much easier, and I would highly recommend doing that instead. But with that, we only have one more level left, and that is the World 5 boss. This first phase is really, really straightforward. Just get to the power pellets as soon as possible. So you grab that one, grab this one, and then head all the way over to the other side of the field. Grab that one, and then eat all this. Go back here. This is the best place to go first. There's going to be one power pellet that spawns here and two that spawn on the other side. When moving from one gear to another, you can boost. I would not recommend it because it's easy to run into Gallus, and it's also easy to fall when trying to go from gear to gear, because even the tiniest gap in the floor can kill you if you're not moving quick enough. So now go over here, eat this power pellet, head to the other side. So basically, these last two phases are kind of inverses of each other as to which side has two power pellets and which one has one. So that's really straightforward. This cutscene is unskippable. You have to deal with it. Go. Now it's time for the final boss. So to start off this, follow the route exactly as I do. So you're going to want to eat this power pellet, take this bounce pad, eat this power pellet, eat this ghost. When you boost into those ghosts, crouch as soon as you eat them, otherwise you are going to die, because you are going to fall off. And just make sure you break as soon as you eat them. And I believe you are going to eat 3 ghosts in this round. So then afterwards, just eat all this as soon as possible. And now you're going to want to wait for Galvus to spawn again, and once this first power pellet spawns, eat this first ghost, eat this power pellet, and then eat. And then you're going to head over here and eat this power pellet, and then head over here and eat Galvus for the second time. And after this third phase, you're going to hope that this bounce pad is lined up with this ghost. Eat the ghost first, and then head over here, grab this power pellet, head to the other side of the battlefield, grab this power pellet, back over, eat Galvus, and you're done. So, again, just memorize really just that stage is just a matter of memorizing the routes. In the second phase, you really want to follow that route exactly, and you really want to make sure you're fast enough so that you make it on the right cycles. Otherwise, you basically just have to improvise, and it's not fun. It's very easy to die in that last boss fight. But, yeah, that is it, basically. So that is the entirety of Pack-and-Roll Remix in a tutorial form. So I hope this tutorial is helpful. I hope this game, I'm really the only person who currently runs this game at the moment. So I'm going to be leaving several links in the description. So the first link I'm not going to link these in order. I'm probably not going to remember this order, but I'm going to be linking the speedrun.com page. I'm going to leave a link to the current world record. I'm also going to leave a link to the current ideal run, which is basically a spliced run featuring what an optimal run would somewhat look like, with all the fastest currently known RTA strats. I'm going to leave links to my Twitch and Twitter, so you can contact me through either of those. I'm also going to leave a link to the Pac-Man Discord, which is useful for if you want to learn any of the Pac-Man games, including this one. Yeah, that's basically it. So, thank you for watching. I hope this tutorial helps greatly. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me, and I will see you all later.